All right, welcome to Jim and James Morning Podcast, which is not in the morning.
No. It's the only thing we got wrong.
Lonnie put me on blast about that. Yeah. She says, I'm going to go ahead and give him a shout, but I don't know why he calls it. They call it in the morning. It's not in the morning.
It's 8:07 p.m.
Yeah. Hey, it's morning someplace, you know?
That's true.
Yeah, someplace in the world.
It was all because I started coffee in the morning with James,
true.
and I was trying to stay with the
concept is early in the morning.
The motif.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to let my bouffant or whatever you call it.
Yeah.
All
it's
right.
So great.
So, Jimmy, I like when you do the introductions.
No, man. By all means, you should start it today. I think we have a great guest in the house, and the guy is brilliant, and he's got, you know what? Talk about lightning in the bottle. This guy's the man with these stories that are just phenomenal. That whoever's watching the viewership's gonna love this guy.
Well, it's like we got the World Series so far with all these different
back to
guests.
back. Yeah,
we have a all-star,
plethora of stars,
all-star episodes.
And I'm referring to the one and only actor, director, producer, showrunner,
Writer.
and he does it all. And the guy's name is Mr. Nate Golon.
Yeah.
Yo. This is fantastic. What a treat, buddy.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Well, I'm going to get right into it because, of course, I want to talk about the staged reading that I was involved with. And I want to thank Nate. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of that. It was one of the most. It was a really wonderful experience. I had so much fun. And it was funny. I like to tell this story because there was, how many were in the cast?
About 13.
13
12,
of us.
12, and then myself doing the narration.
Exactly. Yeah. And they started on the far end, and everyone introduced themselves and their character.
Wow.
Well, almost everyone had one character, and then maybe there was someone who was playing two characters. Then they get to me. And I'm one over from Nate. There's one girl who was sitting next to us. She was wonderful. Mabel. Mm-hmm. And so they get to me. I got my legs crossed, and I've got my pad, because I had to write this down because I was playing 5 characters.
Yes, you were.
5 characters.
And I start reading them off, and I had a pencil, and I was crossing them off. And when I got to about the 4th one, there was a laughter from the crowd. And then after I finished the 5th one, I got an applause. And
very cool.
For anyone that's performed, whether you're a stand-up or whether you're an actor and you're in a play in front of a live audience, or you're on a talk show or anything like that, when you get an applause, you feel like you have the audience.
That's right.
So all I had to do is keep them from that moment on. But everyone was so wonderful.
They were good.
That it just... when you're hearing these actors play their parts so well, and then your lines come up, and you're just right there with them.
Yeah, you're hitting out of the park, I hear.
Good things I want to hear from Nate.
Okay, the guy was amazing, first of all.
Okay, so let me tell you what I threw James. $5 later.
Yeah. Listen, I need it all in pennies. So first of all, I want to say, Jim, you were amazing, because for anyone listening or watching this, I was like, Jim, so you're going to play like every smaller role, male role in this half-hour TV pilot. And it ranged anywhere from a TMZ bus tour guide to like a disgruntled customer at a restaurant to a 5-year-old boy.
Wow.
So let me tell you, Jim plays an amazing 5-year-old boy. I mean, like, I was like, he is a 5-year-old boy right now. It was
I'm
incredible.
actually a 5-year-old boy trapped inside of a
25-year-old man.
Yeah. So, but you coached me a little bit through Zoom and walked me through each character and gave me an idea of what you had in your mind.
A choice you could make.
Yeah, and boy, I'll tell you, that went a long way. So it really brought those characters to life and made them more colorful. And it was great. It was great.
I'm flabbergasted. That's fantastic. And I didn't make it because I was making my way down from Coachella.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
hey, listen,
Were you stuck in traffic
how long have we been on now, David? What do you think?
20 minutes?
Yeah, it's been like 30 minutes.
Okay. Can we talk?
5 minutes.
Can we talk about me now for a minute? Because no, the only other thing I wanted to say is I'm really excited. I'm celebrating with my
Liquid Death?
Liquid Death water here.
Can I get one, Dave?
Yeah,
Let's say hi to our engineer, Dave. I'll take the flat one.
I'm celebrating because I had...
Would you you like one?
Oh no, I'm fine.
Are you sure?
I got a Peaches Tacos.
Drink yourself to death.
Bean cheese tacos. Thank you,
That's right.
Nate. We want to mention Bean cheese
Thanks,
tacos,
pal.
where
Appreciate it, Dave.
we have Bean cheese tacos every day. Every time we do the podcast,
We break bread before we start
we
the
go,
podcast.
It's a great way to
and
go.
we pray
Yeah.
and we eat and we enjoy our podcast afterwards.
fantastic.
But I
Fun
just wanted to
stuff.
say, and then I'm going to turn it over. I want to hear all about Nate, what he's been up to, what he's doing. I didn't have. I said this before on an earlier episode. I didn't have an audition all of January, February, and March.
You're on a dry spell.
No, January I had some great auditions. It was February, March, and April. I had no auditions. Then I got 4 within 3 days. Like
I got
within
2.
2
You
days.
beat
actually.
me with 4. I got 2.
Nice.
And I'm on
Same
hold
day.
for one of the. I'm on hold for one of
Are
the
you?
roles.
He's on the
Yeah, I'm
veil.
really excited. I can't talk about it, but it's just a couple lines. But it's a cool part, and I can't wait to.
Are you playing a
I got the
5-year-old
shoot
boy?
dates. No, close enough though.
Okay.
So Nate, take it away. I don't want to take up all the oxygen in the room.
want
to
to take a moment to say that we got our merch in. If you guys are watching, you might be able to. You're in for a big surprise. I don't want to puff out my
you're
chest or
gonna-
anything, but
you're gonna-
look at this. New and improved.
Oh, nice.
Because the last one had a smaller logo, which wasn't our fault.
Yeah, I
you know?
messed up.
Look at
And they
these
all had
pecs.
Brian Welsh's name on it. You know,
Look at these
Brian
pecs.
Brian really appreciated us giving him a shout
Yeah.
out. And he is 37 years old, and he's quite a
37
catch,
years
ladies.
young, yeah.
He is single. So
Oh,
just
ready to
get in those
mingle.
DMs, slide in the DMs, and
There you go.
get yourselves, in those comments.
A hot
under
date
this,
with Brian Welsh,
That's
ladies
right.
and
We're going to
gentlemen.
auction his. Anyway.
That T-shirt is fire.
Isn't it cool? It's
Well,
like great.
They're
Look.
actually working on my image. My mom didn't think it looked like me. My
No.
mom's picky. She doesn't think anybody looks like me.
But this was
you
dead
tell her
on,
that-
right?
That one is badass right on. But even the artist said, you know
Yeah,
what?
that's good stuff.
Let me look at it. Let me tweak it. I don't mind. I'll rework it a little bit. But I like that. I think, hey, you know what? It's like they say when you take a bad picture, the camera doesn't lie. my boy DJ Rabolia.
Yeah, he's
I'm
the-
probably
he's the man,
I'm probably
dude.
butchering your last name, DJ. I'm sorry. He's the artist. He does a great job.
We'll
And,
throw in his social media handles
Yeah,
in there.
remind
So.
me to do a few shout outs at the end of
Yeah.
this. But Nate, we got to get to you, man.
What's
happening?
up with the workshop? You had the workshop, which was your first piece that you ever wrote, and then it reached amazing heights. Tell us all about it.
So just a little bit, if you're listening, you don't know who I am because, that would make sense. So I came in here to be an actor, just like these boys, and then so I wrote a project back in the day that I wanted to put myself into, and it was a show called Workshop, and it was just a humble online comedy series about 6 actors trying to make it in LA, which we all know, like doing the
That's
thing.
hilarity in itself.
And it was like, I'd met all these actors in acting classes, workshops, like you name it, working restaurant jobs, just wherever. And so I wrote a show of like 6 archetypes of like actors that I knew, 3 guys, 3 girls. And the show started off on like all the like websites as just a short form series. Well, even though I never written anything, people seemed to like my writing. They didn't seem to care so much, or they didn't like have any comment one way or another about the acting. They're like, "Sure, you're good," but they were like, "Oh, great writing, keep going." So I wrote a second season, ended up being a half-hour comedy on Hulu, and that was
nice.
kind of that was my start.
That's a
And,
big deal to get anything made in this town, to get anything in front of the right people
Yeah.
in this town, but to have it go all the way and actually
Get to
people can
those
see it on
heights.
Hulu.
Yeah.
I got a friend I want to give a shout out real quick to Jeremy Luke. He's in something called Small Shots. Same thing. These guys, I'll tell you the story where he's going to be coming on at the end of the month. So back to what you were saying, because it's a big deal. It's huge. It's huge.
I mean, at the time, it was like a massive amount of work. I mean, Workshop is 2 seasons. There's 250 locations, 225 co-star and guest star roles. I did everything.
Holy cow.
I put together the whole thing.
Single-handedly.
Yeah, well, I had,
the
I had
most
like,
part.
I just had like a few people that were kind of like part of the team, I co-wrote the first season and then I wrote the second season myself and blah, 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 blah. But it was, it was kind of like throwing yourself in the deep end of a pool and
Sure.
just learning everything on the fly.
As you go.
And then it was great. I mean, it served me, ever since then, as far as like putting together projects, you name it.
You know what I want to talk about? I want
Yeah,
to talk about real quick. Bueller.
Oh, yeah. 1
Bueller.
second, though. I just want to ask you, did anyone, after you showed it to some people and, whatever, Did anyone say, "Hey, that kind of was I the inspiration for that role?" Or
Well, the funny thing is, most of the people I cast as the main roles were the inspiration themselves.
Okay.
So, like the archetypes of that show, you had the one guy played by myself who was like the guy, no matter how hard he works, nothing ever happens for him as an actor.
Right.
You had one guy who was like the most talented of the six, but he's a total horse's ass. You get on set every time he books something and just like talk himself out of jobs. You had one guy who had already been on a soap for several years, playing a certain type of part, and then he was forever typecast as that part, even though he saw himself something totally different. For the women, you had the actress who had just moved to LA 5 seconds ago, had no idea how anything worked. You know, green is all can get up.
Yeah.
Then you had these two blondes who were competing for every project, but their problem was that one is a British actress who couldn't do an American accent for
Oh my
squat,
God, that's
and then the
fantastic.
other one was like a really beautiful model who couldn't act her way out of a paper bag. So you had like these archetypes,
Fantastic.
and then just kind of grew from there.
Right. That's
Nice.
crazy, and it's interesting what you were saying, and no wonder it resonated with everybody. I mean, like everybody in this town, you know.
Well, the
So
funny
they-
thing was, I'm gonna be honest with you. The funny thing was, I just wrote it to write something, right?
Right.
But people, like when I talk to anyone who's in the industry, who was farther along than me, they'd be like,
Sure.
no one wants to watch a show about actors trying to make it. And I was like, well, this is what I want to write, so I'm gonna
Sure.
write it. And then it ended up being the first ever independently produced half-hour comedy ever on Hulu.
Hulu.
And
How
so I
about
was
that?
like, I'm like, well,
That's
I guess
huge.
some people wanted to watch it. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So
Yeah,
it
no
kind of
shit.
gave me the mentality from that point forward.
Wow.
I just write whatever I want to write.
Right,
Like
right.
people, take it or leave it, but like.
That gave you validation right there, like he was doing something right. Like fuck,
And it was like, it
Imagine
just
that,
worked,
bro.
and it
Yeah.
was like, so I just was like, okay, like people like what I write, I'll write some more stuff. And I was, at the time, I was still putting myself in things like, so like the next thing I made right after that was like this little short film called Briefcase, so like a little 6-minute short, right?
Right.
I saw that. I
And so-
really enjoyed that.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
So it was like, shot it for not much. I played the main guy. It was like pretty simple. It was like,
Is that which was the one where there was all TV stars, like actual working actors? Or?
So that was like the next one. So this short film, I learned so much from workshop that I just wanted to, like, I knew so much about like how short form content worked in my own mind. Like what would be successful as a short film, like sort the parameters. I put it like 6 minutes or less. Had to have like hit certain things along the way.
a good little arc.
Yeah. And so I put it online, and then within like a month, it had been written up by like
75
75 film sites around the world, and then Netflix found it and
Wow.
licensed it for 4 years, and then that led to the next thing, which was that show that had a whole bunch of TV stars in it, and that was called My Synthesized Life, about this guy whose voice naturally auto-tunes after he's electrocuted by his radio during a rap song. He becomes like a freak and an outcast, but then he has a buddy who's like an amazing beatboxer, so the
Yeah.
two of them become like a popular musical duo.
So brilliantly done,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
Thanks.
That is incredible.
I want to hear about the connection with Bueller.
Yeah.
Bueller?
Well, and also,
Yeah,
I want you to touch on how he was in the cast
Mm-hmm.
with myself and the other 12 people.
Yeah,
he was
he was
number 13.
amazing.
And I got to tell you, when he was delivering his lines, thank goodness I didn't have a line coming right up after him, or I didn't have to go in between it. Those lines that I was laughing so hard, I almost peed my pants. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I was crying. I had
amazing.
tears coming down. I was laughing so hard, and I had to, just pull it together real quick. But I could afford to do that because my lines were in different parts, and I allowed myself just to enjoy his performance at that time.
Well,
because we
imagine
weren't
that?
acting it out. We're sitting in chairs and acting in the way where we're reading. It was a reading, so
So
I could just enjoy.
And you're
it.
referring to your father-in-law, right?
So, and I was going to say, so what that, in general, the show you're talking about, if you're watching this, because we haven't really, so it's a new show that I have, a half-hour pilot called Side Work, and it's like server life and actors. So it's kind of like actors trying to make it. It's originally I was going to write as a reboot, but then it
Okay.
turned into a different show.
Sure.
But anyways, so it has an amazing cast, Jim being one of them. But
Thank you, Nate.
along the way from doing that next show, My Synthesized Life, I cast the mom of the main character, this lady named Cindy Pickett, and she's most well known for being Ferris Bueller's mom and Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Fantastic story.
So she and I were just, after that show, we just stayed friends. Amazingly kind woman. And then I had a girlfriend at the time we were shooting My Synthesized Life. We broke up. I went through like a real like crazy time, like just kind of like all kinds of stuff. I lived overseas. I sold everything and lived overseas. I lived in
Japan,
small
right?
town Japan.
Wow.
Taught English over
Yep.
there for.
Came back, wrote like a really popular book about it and stuff like that. But anyways, so a few years later, I ran into her, and she had a son and a daughter. Like grown up, like late 20s, and she introduced me to her daughter, and now that's my fiance.
That's so badass.
when you met your daughter's father.
Yeah,
So a lot of people don't know that.
This is who we're talking about, who I was in stitches. I was just enjoying his performance so much. And his
name is Lyman Ward. So Cindy Pickett and Lyman Ward, and they were Ferris Bueller's parents.
And they were really married at one point.
So they met on that set.
Fell in love.
During the audition process, he was already cast, and she came in it was down to like 3 actresses for the main part. And they were all great, but she was kind of like the most quirky. And so and John Hughes, who's the director, he was, they were doing like chemistry tests, and then Lyman, Cindy hit it off, and then they end up getting married from that movie, and then had 2 kids, and then, didn't work out long run,
so
but they
Ferris's parents ended up by
real
really
life.
being a married couple.
And this guy's married to
I'm about to be married.
Yeah. Congratulations,
Congrats, bro.
Nate.
Thanks,
I
yeah.
met your fiance, and she is just wonderful. Absolutely.
She's like the nicest person in the whole world. Like,
just like her mom.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the industry, right? She's not in the industry at all.
She's so like kind and she's very like, she's like gorgeous, I mean, she's like 5'11", model looking, but she's just like the nicest person. Does have no interest herself in being in the industry and everything. She's just an amazing support system. And
very supportive.
very
That's so
grateful
cool, bro.
to have her. Yeah, she's a really nice
Now,
person.
tell us a little bit more about the book. Can you get it on Amazon or Kindle or?
Sure.
So
So
we'll put definitely.
Yeah, we'll
insert
plug
something.
it in for sure. For living in Japan, or
Yeah, so
what's the name? What's the title?
So I sold everything. I lived in this like really small town in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it was like on this coastal town called Arida, Arida, like this tiny little town in Wakayama Prefecture, middle of nowhere, like 3 hours away from like Osaka, and so just had kind of like a reboot experience for myself. I felt like I just gone so hard out here, and just burnt myself out really bad. And I was like, what is important in my life? So when I came back, I wrote this book about living there called Journey of Self, 6 months in the Japanese countryside. And then I just self-published it. I just wanted to get it out, I wrote the book in 2 months.
Holy cow.
And just
Wow.
like poured it.
That's ambitious.
Dude, I was just on it when I came back. And so I wrote it and then self-published it. And then it became like a #1 bestseller on Amazon. And now it's a option for TV development right now.
Wow.
No big
That's
deal,
impressive.
guys. Just another day in life.
Yeah.
Does it
Get
rub
some
off?
of that luck to rub off on
Yeah.
us.
No, but
That's good stuff.
I'm very fortunate.
You are.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Thanks, man.
Very few people and far between, like are able to just crack into any kind of industry that quickly.
Well, I think I guess like the main thing is like what was I don't know if you know anything about like Carl Jung. Like it's like you have like there's different like archetypes of humans.
Sure.
And my friend told me that I'm like the enduring horse. Like I just never stop. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I will not stop until I get what I want. And I feel like that's now I have all these projects
The
that are almost
tenacity,
there,
huh? The
Like, that's
tenacity.
it.
Absolutely.
That's
Now
fun.
you wrote a novel or something. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I have a bunch of projects. So many things going on like right now that are just almost there. And my main project is this book called Waiting on the Moon. And I actually wrote it right before COVID. And it focused on like a dystopian sci-fi novel. It focuses on wealth disparity in the future, whereas
Wow.
like rich and poor become more and more magnified, like what that does to society. And this dystopian device is introduced into society for the poor people to try to make extra money as jobs go away and opportunities are less and less. And that dystopian technology ends up like really creating like a million more problems. And so this world is, let's say 20 years in the future.
Sideways, huh?
Yeah, it's
Well,
pretty
Elon
wild.
Musk talks about it. He believes
Yeah, for sure.
that's probable.
Well, so I wrote this book right before COVID hit, and it's just dark. It's a dark book. I mean,
Sounds like 1984, right? A lot of people say read 1984.
it's kind of like if 1984, if everyone themselves created it, where instead of like Big
Right,
Brother
right.
looking at you,
Yeah.
if you're Big Brother, that's kind of like a good way of thinking at it. And
Wow.
so, anyway, so that book, there's a lot going on with it right now. A lot of good things. There's like a prequel series to it that is also in development. That focuses like more on the now with like the technology being that dystopian technology being introduced into society But Waiting on the Moon is like my real passion project. And then so there's a book and like like a TV pilot and all kinds of stuff going on with it. And it's out there, and hopefully something good happens for it soon.
Oh, hang on a second. I gotta get some more of my coffee.
What kind of coffee are you having today, Jimbo?
What kind of coffee is this? This is the new batch of Barnhouse Napa brews that
There
I
you
just
go.
got in the mail.
Ooh.
And
You gotta try
I
it, bro.
forgot to
Good
bring
stuff.
the bags, but you know what? The next time you're gonna see the bags on the table, and this is really good. It has a
stuff.
smokiness, so you want to order some Barnhouse Napa brews. It
try a
goes
sip?
great with the Liquid Death water.
Can I try a sip?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Here, you want to
knock
drink it out of
yourself
here? I
out.
think
Whatever
there's
you
some
want.
in there.
It's good stuff, man.
Barnhouse?
Yep.
Yeah, Barnhouse Napa brews. I've tried a lot of different coffees, and this is what I
This
landed
is the
on.
only way to go.
I love it.
You might get a little jacked
Isn't that
up.
nice?
That is good, actually. That's super
Yeah.
good. I like the flavor.
You feel the
Yeah.
jolt?
I'm like, oh, you guys, I'm good.
Yeah. I like it because it's smooth. It's really nice. We're going to do an episode of this podcast up in Napa
Yeah.
at the Barnhouse Napa Brews Coffee House.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
going to be
sick.
a
When
lot
are
of
you gonna do
fun.
that?
If you want to go for a drive, we can go up there.
Absolutely. If you guys are asking me if I can chauffeur you, you just ask. You don't have to beat around the bush. You can just tell me you guys
Well,
need
we
a
have
ride.
friends that have a winery up there too, so I might be needing a driver. Oh, I could tell you, I almost had a heart attack today.
Really?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, that's not
Well,
good.
see, I went in the store and I went to grab a 6-pack of beer, and I noticed that the Beck's beer that I went to grab said non-alcoholic.
Oh,
well, I was,
shit.
a little shocked. I went, oh no, don't want that. But then I went and I grabbed some Pilsner, and when
Okay.
I saw that said non-alcoholic, then I almost had a heart attack because I said, oh my god, I almost ended up walking out of there with non-alcoholic beer, and
It's
that-
like an old Twilight
like
episode.
once is
where,
okay,
yeah.
but twice I was so afraid that I really checked out the third choice. I really wanted to make sure I didn't.
What were you referring to?
I was going to say it's like an old Twilight episode or something where like you go to the store and like every beer is non-alcoholic. You're like, why? No.
Hey, did you guys hear about the fugitives that were finally caught?
I did.
It's crazy, right? In
One of them
Indiana. One of them died?
Yeah, the corrections officer.
Oh, really? What was okay? So, what's the relation between both of them? They're both named by the same. Well, they're
No,
both
I
same last name.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything beyond except that they.
I haven't heard anything
I bet
about this.
you know what I've been like focused on that I keep looking at the score right before we met up is
Yeah.
how did our Boston Celtics do today? That's what I really want to know because so Jim's from a big Boston fan.
Yeah.
I grew up in Boston as a child, and so I'm like diehard everything Boston sports right now. I actually, in fact, wanted Jim to do this little scene where he plays a diehard Yankees fan.
Actually, I still have that scene, but I'm.
And he said no,
pretty much
because he loves
refusing
the
to
Sox
do
so
that.
much.
Yeah.
Even though it's a good scene and you should do it.
It's a great scene. If we could switch it to.
Didn't it be too
The-
easy
the
for you,
Red
Jim?
Sox, yeah,
You have to
yeah.
dig deep.
Well, we used to park the car in Harvard Yard when we used to go to the sports arena, and that's my father was from Watertown.
Okay.
So this is for all my cousins out there in Boston and Rhode Island and wherever else. Cape Cod. I got a cousin, Stephen, in Cape Cod. Timothy's in Rhode Island. He's
I
an
got a family
artist.
in Jamaica Plains.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I grew up in Lexington. I don't know if you know that is.
Jimmy was
I think we're
telling
gonna
me.
grab some beers.
Jimmy was telling me some interesting, about his lineage, and ranches and
Oh, yeah,
what they,
yeah.
you
Did
know,
you?
what-
Yeah. No, on my father's side.
Okay.
On my dad's side, no, my dad's fully Mexican, and he had a few ranches. They grew up very, very
a few,
poor. Yeah.
not just one.
No, a few.
Oh wow.
They were
Aristocratic.
yeah.
Is that the way you say it?
Aristocratic? Yeah, aristocratic. Good job.
You know,
nice.
Where have you been drinking?
Jimmy's-
It's that
he
coffee.
keeps me on point with when I start misusing. We're making up my own words.
He was
Let me
zip,
get a bust out the thesaurus.
Yeah,
he
we
was
got a writer
correct.
at the
he
table.
was
that's
ziplining in the Sinaloa mountains.
Oh, everyone, we got to name this pig.
Yeah, what do
So,
we name it?
You guys can help us in the comments
Yeah,
section.
sure.
We gotta
What should we
the
name
pig.
it?
I don't know.
Is it a her? Is
I've
it a
never
he, or
named
is
a
it a
pig
what?
before. Flying
Yeah.
pig at that. This is an
Yeah.
antique flying pig
Yeah.
that I bought for the show. So
Nice.
Yeah, it belonged to somebody pretty famous.
yeah, we could make up stories about it. Why not?
You know who sits in that chair? Do you know who sits there?
No.
It's John Belushi's spirit.
Nice.
Can't make this up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I thought I saw some. I thought I saw some like illegal
Oh.
drugs sitting on the table. Yeah.
So, yeah, John Belushi died in the hotel across the street, and
Oh, at
I
the
kind of
chateau?
feel bad every time I look at it. I think, wow, what a loss that was.
Absolutely. And Robin Williams was hanging out with him that same night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really,
Did you know that?
really, and then
Yeah,
Eddie
that
Money.
changed his whole like for Robin Williams. He like scared him straight because he was hanging out with Jim, and then
Okay, I didn't know
Yeah.
if they were
John
fooling or
Belushi.
doing the.
or John. I mean, sorry, with John. Yeah.
Jim,
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry, Jim. I know you're still alive, buddy. Sorry,
I'm
sorry,
sure
Jim.
that happens a lot.
There's so many Jims around here. I guess
know.
I got like Jim centric for a minute, but no.
But what I was thinking about earlier when you were talking about your screenplay and how you know, of course, you draw on real people.
Yep.
And you remember that Adam Sandler bit or whatever you call it, skit
yeah, bit.
on Saturday Night Live
SNL.
when he comes in and he's having a family reunion. And they're all acting like one of the characters out of his movie. It's really funny. Look it up if you guys haven't
Okay.
seen it.
Look it up.
And they're all claiming that he stole their character for whichever movie that they were portraying the character, and it's hilarity. It's hilarious.
I thought you were going to
That's
say.
that's so brilliantly done.
Oh,
I mean,
it's
think
so
about it.
yeah. I mean, it's
I thought you were
Saturday
going to
Night
say
Live.
all the Gap girls came on and like, that was me. I'm not Gap girl. Like,
No, but
have
if
you ever
you
seen
watch,
the Gap girl sketch? Yeah.
If you watch Faith's episode, you'll hear us talk about the Abercrombie.
Oh yeah, Fitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we're almost out of time.
Oh,
let's-
you got to be kidding!
That was so
It
fast.
so
it's,
quick.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's a
Wow.
it's a fleeting moment, such as life.
Well, I got to give a
Sorry,
quick
buddy.
shout out to Spotless Cleaners in Studio City because that's where we get all our
As you can
clothes
see, it's
looking
spotless.
great for this podcast.
Good stuff.
And
yeah.
Also, a buddy of mine I owe an apology to because we got him mixed up.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was going to be next weekend,
Steve
and he
Briggs?
showed up.
Stephen Briggs.
Stephen Briggs. So follow Stephen Briggs.
Follow this
He's
cat.
a brilliant comic. He has a residency out in Vegas, and we're going to have him on. He's a little busy, but he can't wait to get back here and get on. He was really cool about the mix-up. We did have someone that was supposed to be here tonight, and she really
She bailed. Yeah.
what do we? How harsh do we want to be with her? We're not. Should we not say her name? I don't think we should say her name.
Let's just we're not going to say her
We're
name.
not going to say her name, but
yeah.
she really let me down because
Yeah.
we've been communicating all this time, and we had tonight scheduled. I got the studio ready and everything, and last minute, all of a sudden, 1:30 in the afternoon, I'm like,
Yeah.
I started making calls, and Nate.
Nate,
Hey, you know
save
what?
the
For all the
day.
people watching or listening,
That's
you
right.
got your
Nate
boy
saved the
Nate
day.
instead.
That's
and
right.
you know what? I mean, I don't know about that other person, but you
Yeah.
got gold right here. So
That's
it worked
right.
out pretty well
It
for
re-
everybody.
Well, she
It
was
really
pretty
does.
sexy. Oops, am I going to get in trouble for that?
Talk
Sorry, honey, I
about-
didn't mean that.
Talk about lucky. I mean, we got lucky with this lucky
Yeah, no,
guy.
this
I mean,
is great.
Everything
This
you've
is
done
great.
is
Appreciate
impressive, man. It really
Yeah,
is
thanks so
impressive,
much.
and I mean that.
And I forgive you for letting us down.
Yeah.
So hopefully you'll come on.
It's okay. You got your boy Nate. I'm right here. I'm right here.
All right. Well,
All
thank
right.
you, and we will see you next time. And I'll have my Barnhouse Napa Brews.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for
All
having
right,
me.
see you guys.
Appreciate it.